How close are you to the edge of the financial cliff? Don't roll your eyes. I don't mean you're going to be homeless tomorrow. I mean, let's say your car's transmission blows out on the highway this afternoon. Or this weekend, you end up in the ER with a burst appendix. Or the laptop you use to make a living suddenly dies without warning. The mechanic or the hospital hands you a bill, $1,000. Due now. What is your brain's first instinct? Do you calmly swipe your debit card? Or do you feel a cold drop of sweat run down your spine? Do you start doing mental gymnastics to figure out how much room is left on your Visa? Do you scramble to figure out which utility bills you can push to next month without getting your power shut off? If you relate to the second reaction, welcome to the reality of nearly half the country. Statistics show that 45% of American adults cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense without going into debt. We live in a society where everyone looks like they're doing just fine. We wear nice clothes, we hold $1,200 iPhones, we lease nice cars, and we post aesthetic lattes on Instagram. But behind that glossy American dream facade is a financial system as fragile as glass. The majority of people are walking a tightrope without a net, and all it takes is one gust of wind called an unexpected emergency to send them plummeting into a spiral of consumer debt. And you know what the most tragic part is? We all know the rules. We've all heard the financial gurus on TV preach the same golden rule: build an emergency fund, save 3 to 6 months of living expenses, save for a rainy day. But knowing is not doing. Almost a third of the adult population admits they could not cover 3 months of expenses by any means. Not by selling assets, not by draining their 401ks, not by borrowing from family. Nothing. Why? Why are professionals making $70,000 or $100,000 a year still living paycheck to paycheck? Because the way we talk about the emergency fund is fundamentally flawed. Financial textbooks frame cash reserves as a shield, protection when things go wrong. And that's true, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. The truth that nobody tells you is this: the most terrifying power of having cash sitting in a bank account is not about paying for emergencies. It is fundamentally rewiring the operating system of your brain. Cash doesn't just save you from a blown tire, it reshapes your self-worth, your negotiating power, in the entire trajectory of your life. Let me show you exactly how. Imagine you're sitting in a high-stakes strategy meeting at your company. Your boss is asking for innovative ideas for a new project. Nailing this could mean a promotion at the end of the year. But inside your head, there's a relentless, agonizing soundtrack playing on loop. My credit card payment is due tomorrow. I don't have enough for the kids' daycare this week. Payday isn't until Friday, and today's only Monday. What's the absolute cheapest thing we can eat for dinner tonight? Do you honestly think you can produce a brilliant, career-defining idea in that mental state? No, you can't. Researchers at Harvard and Princeton conducted a massive study on human psychology under the conditions of scarcity, and they discovered a brutal, measurable truth. Financial stress literally drops your cognitive capacity. It temporarily lowers your IQ. They called this phenomenon tunneling. Think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. When you are constantly stressed about money, that anxiety eats up 80% of your mental bandwidth. It creates a dark tunnel. You can only see the immediate exit right in front of you. How do I survive this week? How do I pay this bill tomorrow? Everything outside that tunnel gets ignored. Learning a new high-income skill, investing in your health, networking, planning your 5-year career roadmap, all of it is thrown into the mental trash can. This isn't because you're lazy. It's not a lack of willpower. It's because your biological survival system is flashing red. It physically does not allow you to think long-term. Now, flip the picture. Imagine that right now you have $20,000, 6 months of expenses, sitting quietly in a high-yield savings account, earning 4.5% interest. You know exactly where it is, you know you can transfer it to your checking account in 24 hours if you need it. The mere knowledge of that money performs a magic trick on your brain. It shuts off the background noise of financial anxiety. It frees up your mental RAM. You walk into the office with your head held high. You start making clear, strategic decisions. You don't panic when the car breaks down. You don't spiral into depression when your boss yells at you. That cash cushion acts as a supreme shock absorber, eating up all the potholes of life so your mind can cruise smoothly. And when your mind is smooth, you start making a lot more money.
The corporate world is a battlefield. And in this battlefield, the ultimate weapon isn't an Ivy League degree, and it isn't a fancy director title. The ultimate weapon of a working professional is the ability to say no without the fear of starving. And your emergency fund is the sole sponsor of that no. Look at the reality. The average duration of unemployment in the US is roughly 23 weeks. That's nearly 6 months from losing your job to finding a new one. If you're in your 40s or 50s or in a specialized tech or corporate field, that timeline stretches even further. Knowing this, if you don't have cash reserves, you voluntarily place an invisible chain around your own neck. You stay in a toxic work environment where managers treat you like a machine. You accept a salary that is 20% below market value. Why? Because the fear of having zero income terrifies you more than the humiliation of being exploited. You become a hostage to your own paycheck. Let's put 2 employees side by side. Same skills, same role, same manager. Employee A has 8 months of living expenses saved up. Employee B lives paycheck to paycheck. Annual review time rolls around. Employee B walks into the office, heart pounding. He quietly asks for a raise. The boss frowns, offers a standard, insulting 3% cost of living bump, and piles on more responsibilities. Employee B swallows his pride, forces a smile, and signs the paper. He has no choice. Employee A walks into the room like a partner. He brings data proving his value and asks for a 15% bump. The boss tries the same intimidation tactics. Employee A smiles, politely declines the 3%, and calmly says, "I think I need some time to evaluate if the company's trajectory still aligns with my personal career goals." Why does employee A have the guts to do that? Because he knows that even if he gets handed a cardboard box and fired today, he can live comfortably for half a year. He can take a month off to travel and then casually find a company that actually respects his worth. That calm, non-desperate energy radiates an aura that forces employers to respect you. More often than not, the company caves and gives employee A the money because they know they cannot use financial fear to control him. Over a 10-year career, the income gap between employee A and employee B isn't just 15%. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cash cushion pays for itself 100 times over, purely through the negotiating leverage it provides.
There is a heartbreaking but accurate saying in economics. It's expensive to be poor. Economists call this the poverty premium, a hidden tax on financial instability that makes literally everything in your life more expensive. When you live without a cash buffer, you pay a premium on simply existing. Don't believe me? Let's look at daily American life. Because you don't have $1,000 up front, you can't pay your auto insurance annually, which usually comes with a 10 to 15% discount. So you pay month to month. You are literally paying a fee for not having cash. Because you don't have cash, you buy a cheap $40 pair of work shoes that fall apart in 4 months. You buy 3 pairs a year, spending $120. A person with cash spends $100 once on high-quality boots that last for 4 years. Because you don't have the cash to proactively replace your car's balding tires, you ignore them until one blows out on the highway, damages your rim, and you have to call a tow truck. A $400 preventative maintenance job just turned into a $1,200 emergency repair. Do you see it? When you don't have cash, your time horizon shrinks to zero. You need things immediately to solve crises. You don't have the luxury of shopping around, waiting for a sale, or buying in bulk. This poverty premium quietly bleeds your bank account dry. You work incredibly hard, but you never seem to get ahead because you are constantly paying this invisible tax. Cash severs that bleeding entirely. You start buying based on value, not urgency. But here is the absolute best part. Cash isn't just a shield against bad things, it is a net to catch incredible opportunities. When the stock market bleeds and the masses panic sell, like in March of 2020, people living paycheck to paycheck watch from the sidelines. People with cash reserves are rubbing their hands together, buying up world-class assets at a 40% discount. A piece of real estate pops up 20% below market value because the seller is going through a divorce and needs a fast, all-cash close. If you have the cash, you secure the deal in a heartbeat. Great opportunities rarely announce their arrival. They appear suddenly, and they only stay for the people who have the capital ready to deploy. Life doesn't reward those who wish they could act. It rewards those who actually can.
By now, I hope you look at the emergency fund through a completely different lens. It's not your sick day fund. It is your freedom fund. It is your golden ticket to play the game of life on your own terms. So how do you actually build it when you feel like you have no money left at the end of the month? Stop making excuses, face the reality, and execute this ruthless 4-step roadmap. Step 1. Stop the bleeding immediately. Forget about the 6-month goal for a second. Your only mission this month is to scrape together $1,000 to $2,000 by any means necessary. Cancel Netflix, stop the Uber Eats, pause the happy hours, sell the clothes you haven't worn in a year on Poshmark. This small chunk of cash acts as a tourniquet. It stops the vicious cycle of swiping your credit card every time your check engine light comes on. Step 2. Define your survival baseline. Get a pen and paper. Be brutally honest. Rent or mortgage, utilities, basic groceries, no restaurants, gas, and minimum debt payments. What is that bare bones number? Let's say it's $3,000 a month. Great. Your next target is $9,000 for 3 months, and your ultimate finish line is $18,000 for 6 months. Step 3. The automated trap. Here is the secret. You cannot trust your own willpower. Humans are weak to temptation. You must open a savings account at a completely different bank than your primary checking account. Set up an automatic transfer. The morning your paycheck hits, 10% or 15% is automatically ripped away and sent to that external bank. Do not get a debit card for that account. Delete the app from your home screen. Make accessing that money slightly annoying. That friction will kill 99% of your impulsive spending desires. Step 4. Get paid to protect yourself. Don't let your money sit dead under a mattress. Put it in a high-yield savings account, a HISA. Right now, these accounts are paying around 4 to 5% APY, and they're fully FDIC insured. You can still access your money in 2 days, but it's actively working for you, generating free cash every single month. But I have to warn you about one critical trap. Never, ever invest your emergency fund in the stock market or crypto. There are smart people who will tell you, leaving $20,000 in a bank earning 4% is stupid. Put it in the S&P 500 and earn 10%. That is fatal advice. Your emergency fund is not an investment. Its job is not to maximize returns. Its job is to sit there, unmoving, invincible, so you can withdraw it on the darkest day of your life. Imagine it's 2020, a global pandemic hits, you get laid off, you panic, open your brokerage account to sell stocks to pay your mortgage, and realize the market just crashed 35%. Half of your safety net just evaporated at the exact moment you needed it to survive. That is the definition of a financial catastrophe. You do not ask the concrete foundation of your house to generate a return on investment. You ask the foundation to keep the house from collapsing.
Let your emergency fund be the foundation. Once it is fully funded, then you can take your extra savings and invest aggressively. Conclusion: the cost of not having an emergency fund is rarely one giant explosion. It is 1,000 tiny cuts. It's the quiet humiliation of bowing your head to a bad boss. It's the heavy sigh when you have to say no to an amazing opportunity because you can't afford the risk. It's the suppressed dream of starting your own small business, buried under the fear of not being able to feed your family. Bit by bit, financial fear suffocates your greatest potential, forcing you to live a life far smaller than the one you deserve. Building a 6-month cash reserve might take you a year, 2 years, or 3 years. The path is not easy. It requires discipline and the sacrifice of instant gratification. But I promise you this, when that account finally crosses the 6-month mark, you will wake up one morning, step outside, and the air will literally feel different. You will walk down the street with a slight smirk on your face because you will know that you are no longer working for survival. You are working to build your empire. That level of absolute freedom is something no luxury car or designer watch could ever buy. Start building your foundation today. It will change your life.